Okay. Okay, technical difficulties. Perhaps the sound that I was talking about was actually on the internet and taking up too much bandwidth. So we're back. We're talking about China, and we're talking about legal drinking age. So I have dual citizenship, but when it comes to the legal drinking age, I'm sorry, you Americans have got it wrong. 21, really? So I would, defer to the English side of things, the European side of things, when I'm introducing my children to cocktails, obviously in moderation. So there we are. There's my piece on that. Okay, so the golden orange, the Jinjiu, it symbolizes gold and wealth. And so over the Chinese New Year, you actually find the kumquats and kumquat trees. They are all over the place. They're in front of people's homes. They're on every street corner. So the kumquat, I guess, is great, great good luck for wealth and gold, and fortune for the future year. So that's my little piece on the kumquat. Okay, so the Negroni, as I've mentioned before, it's equal parts, both of gin, in this case, obviously gin is gin, and Campari or Aperol. So Birgit's recipe actually used Aperol, and I didn't have any Aperol, so I'm actually going to use Campari. And then also a vermouth, so a sweet vermouth. Please go out and look for some of your local vermouths, obviously, but there's so many of them out there. Choose one that you like. For this one, and it's sort of a lighter version of the regular, the classic Negroni, if you like, Birgit used Lillet. So we're going to use the Lillet as well. So then we're going to talk about stirring versus shaking. So let me go and pour out, first of all. So equal parts, except that, because we're in the gin business, we're going to use a little bit more gin than the other products. I believe that Birgit did the same thing. And obviously the flavor of the gin works really well with this too. So I'm going to do 1.5 ounces of Ginny's gin. There we go. And it's a beautiful day here in Sonoma County. Look at that. Gorgeous, sunny, and Birgit actually called her cocktail, she called it a sunny Negroni, which I thought was fabulous. And it's certainly a great day for a sunny Negroni. The thing about the Negroni is it's not one of those cocktails that you want to glug down or what have you. This is definitely a sophisticated cocktail that you want to sip on, and you want to really savor the flavors while you're drinking it, and enjoy. Okay, now I'm going to do 1 ounce of Campari. There we go. Looks like we're back and we're doing okay now. We've actually had real problems with our internet. I think quite a few people have. I don't know whether it's because everybody's on it, or who knows. Anyway, so there's the Campari, and then the Lillet. Let's do 1 ounce of that. There we go. Cool. Now the part here is the stirring. So I did do a poll with a bunch of bartenders, to ask whether they stirred or shake. And, in general, the consensus is that you stir. And the reason for stirring is you don't want to add bubbles. It's all about texture. So if you have a cocktail that has egg in it, or lemon juice, or cream, or something like that, you want to shake it with ice, you want to shake it vigorously so that you get that nice sort of froth, and you want to incorporate, obviously, all those ingredients, you want to emulsify it. But when you have clear, opaque ingredients like these, all you want to do is you want to dilute and obviously chill your cocktail, but because what you want to get out of it mouthfeel-wise is you want it to be cold and silky, velvety even, and you don't get that when you're shaking it. So, but there are people who do like to shake their Negronis, and that's absolutely fine. Rules are made to be broken, obviously, so that's all cool too. So now I'm going to add some ice to it, and I'm going to give it a good stir. There we go. And then, stir it long enough so that it really does have some nice dilution. And it gets nice and cold. And as we've said so many times, keep things in the freezer so that when your cocktail glass should be in the freezer. We keep everything in the freezer and then bring it out at the last moment so that your cocktail doesn't dilute too quickly, and it tastes better that way. Okay, I'm nearly there. Keep going a little longer. So that's the stirring part. Guess what I don't have? I don't have a strainer. Sorry, I don't know what happened there. Normally I have my Hawthorne strainer.
Just like we have one right here.
Okay, that'll work. That's a different one, but that'll work. That'll do the same trick.
Oh, you mean
yeah, it's fine. All good. So now the other thing, and I absolutely agree with Birgit on this one, she used a nice big sphere of ice, and that looks so pretty in the glass, and so I'm going to copy her with that one as well. And I'll put the big sphere of ice right there. And we can't find the Hawthorne. I think I must have used it earlier. All right. So it's such a pretty color. How sunny is that? It's fine, sweetie. So the thing about making cocktails at home is that you don't need all these fancy pieces of equipment. It's perfectly fine to stir in a mason jar. It's perfectly fine to shake things up in a mason jar. It's all good. You don't have to be professional. Yeah, you can just make do with what you have. You don't have to have a bar spoon. You don't have to have a muddler necessarily, but just over time, if you want to get into making cocktails, then you can start adding to your inventory of bar tools, obviously. So rather than doing the peel of orange over here and expressing it, you know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to just do a little squirt of the, there we go, the pretty little kumquat. And then what I did is, I don't know if you can see that, I just cut them in half and I put them on a little bar pick. And there it is. It looks kind of cute. And I'm going to pop that on like that. And there is the Sunny Negroni by Birgit Sacker. Thank you. And Birgit kicks my ass in the gym as well. So thank you for that, for keeping my arms from jiggling while I'm shaking. Okay, Rob now is going to do his cocktail with orange, I believe, which is obviously also in season. And then I'll be back to talk about the botanicals for anybody that wants to listen. Okay, cheers.
Okay, hi everybody. So yeah, I've got my glass just out of the freezer where I pre-iced it, put a little slice of orange, so it would look cool. I'm gonna make a batch. So when we're not having people over tonight, we're making this for a friend, but when you have folks over, you don't want to be sitting there making a drink at a time. It's really hard to keep up unless there's just a couple of people. So I'm going to make an orange juice drink that I really love. Usually we do it with egg whites, and we add a little bit of citric and malic acid to the juice to make it like fresh. So this is at 3.2 grams for every 100 mLs of citric and 2 grams of malic, but I've already pre-done that. So we've got our juice all set. So what we're going to do is we're going to measure out the drink in a little, it's a 2-liter container. And I converted into mLs for this so that I could measure out 8 drinks. And the reason was because we've used our Pyrex ounce measuring buckets. Yeah, so many times that all the numbers have gotten washed off by the dishwasher. So I have got 16 ounces of gin for 8 drinks that's going to go into the drink. And so we're just going to measure that out. So 16 ounces would be 473 mLs. So we're just going to basically measure twice. Measure twice, cut once. Is that okay? There's 250, and then we're going to go right. Okay, so there's 16 ounces of gin in the bucket. It's in the pool. And then we're going to go with half of that amount of juice, which is going to be 236. So this is the fresh squeezed Valencia orange juice. And 236, so it's frosting up on me. 236 will be right there. It's better to stand up here, not stoop. Okay. And if you don't, have sour orange juice by adding malic or citric, or have really sour oranges, you can mix half and half orange juice and lime juice, and that works pretty good. Okay, so there's our 236 in the bucket. And then I like this drink with a little bit more than a half ounce of simple syrup. So basically I'm calling it 5 ounces for 8 drinks, which is like 0.6 ounces per drink. And that's gonna be 140 mLs. So we're just gonna go right to there. It looks like a lot, but it's not. It's just it's 8 drinks. 8 2-ounce drinks, which are not small. Okay, we're almost there. One more squeeze. There we go. Simple syrup is in. And then we're gonna go saline solution, 2 drops per drink. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 16 drops of salt. And then orange and vanilla are awesome pair, so we're gonna do about the same, so which is about that much, about 16 drops. And then we're gonna give it a little stir. And so this is the time where we would take this drink after stirring it nicely, and we would definitely give it a taste to make sure that
You haven't forgotten anything.
well, that everything's in balance, and it's really good like that. Okay, so now I'm gonna make a drink for myself, and then the rest we're gonna put into Ginny's gin bottle. So we've got some, to finish this drink at a party, so you've got a bottle, you just put the drink back into a bottle, or a little bottle and a little bit more, and then you put that in an ice chest and keep it chilled or in the fridge, and then when you wanna make drinks, you line up 8 glasses or 10 glasses, you put ice in them all, and boom, boom, boom. And then this is home carbonated water or club soda. And so for this drink, and we're gonna put about, maybe 2 ounces down in the bottom of the glass. Just like that. And then we're gonna make sure that our drink is nice and stirred. We're just gonna top that bad boy up just like that. And then we're gonna garnish with a little nasturtium flower and then a dried orange peel on top as well. And we've got a straw in there.
Beautiful.
And so, yeah, and then this is kind of fun. This is the flower, the leaf of the nasturtium, and you won't be able to see this probably, but it makes a really great coaster and adds some more color to the drink.
Look
So
how
this
pretty
is
those are.
Yeah,
That's adorable. Can you take a photo of that?
it's a pretty drink. Yours is gorgeous with this lighting too.
That is pretty.
So, so let me finish up my program. So here's our fabulous empty bottle of Ginny's gin. And then we're just gonna take our funnel and we're just gonna slide the drink right into the bottle. And you can kind of tilt it if you don't want to pick up too much air, like this, and let it run down the side. This is a 2-liter plastic winery bucket. It works great for this. I think we're gonna fit, huh?
Yeah.
Because if I wouldn't have had that drink, it wouldn't have fit, but.
I think that's the perfect.
Okay.
Look at that.
So there you go. And then you put your cap on. It's great when you have colorful drinks. It really sets off the label. Look at that. And then this is ready to go. You go to the party, you put the ice in, you give it a little shake each time you pour some drinks to make sure it's kind of homogenized, and then very fast. You can do enough for 100 people. All you need is somebody just to basically pour an ice.
Yeah.
So super cool.
That's great.
All right, Ginny's gonna
talk about the botanicals. Do you mind taking a photo of that? Let's do
Sure.
together. Thanks. With your cool.
take my stuff.
Okay, I'm sorry about the technical difficulties earlier. Hopefully some other people will jump back on once they realize that we continued. Okay, so how do we make the gin and what are our botanicals? Can you take it from that angle maybe? Yeah, together.
Oh, right there, not.
Yeah, with them. Okay, so how do we make the gin? What are the botanicals? So we start out with, obviously, juniper. That has to be the predominant botanical in gin. Juniper and coriander. And the first day what we do is we crack it. So we have this little mill, and juniper is quite resinous, so it does clog it up fairly easily. And so there's a bit of cleaning that has to take place in between, and it's sort of a real labor of love. So that's the coriander and the juniper. And when he's taking the photo, I will show those to you. And then the other two things that we crack and what give a little heat and spice to the gin are the Kumquat berries and the grains of paradise. So that'll be the first day, is we will crack all of those four. So second day, we go in and we take the cracked coriander and juniper, and we put it sort of in it's like a tea bag. We put it in a net, and we macerate it in the grape spirits for 24 hours. And what's interesting is that obviously gin, the spirits itself is clear, but when you add the coriander and the juniper to it, it turns it the color of whiskey. It's crazy. So then 24 hours later, we come back the next morning and we take the tea bag out, and that goes into the bottom. The infused grape spirits goes into the bottom of the still, and then all the other botanicals are hung up again in sort of like a netting in the helmet of the still. And so what happens is they are gently vapor infused. So we've got the Kumquat berries and the grains of paradise. As I say, they add a little heat and spice. They're actually in the pepper family. So some countries where these come from, people use that rather than black pepper. And you'll find it in cooking as well, obviously. Yeah, cheers.
Well, no, you're going to get an outdoor shot for you too.
Oh, good. Okay, perfect. Thank you. And then we also have 3 roots. So the first root is orris root. Pop that there. You can see it. So the orris root is the bulb of the iris, and that adds a little floral sort of aspect to the gin. And then we have licorice root, and we all know what licorice is, obviously, and that adds, it sort of sweetens and rounds out the gin, if you like. And then angelica root, this is sort of a very, very typical gin botanical. Angelica root sort of kind of marries everything together. It's a bit like Match.com, gets everybody playing nicely together. So this one marries all the different botanicals together. It sort of sets them, if you like. So that's the angelica root. And then we have lemon peel. And our gin, a lot of people feel as though the gin is citrus forward, and I kind of like that about it. So it is citrus forward, but we also have lemongrass as one of our botanicals as well. And the lemongrass comes from our garden, and we pick it on the day and we chop it up, and it gets put into the bag with all the botanicals as well. And I kind of like the lemongrass piece of it. That's kind of neat, and the fact that it comes from our garden as well. And then last but not least, we have sagebrush. So this is sagebrush that comes from about 6,000 feet of elevation. And so the original winemakers who came up with the recipe to begin with, they were getting theirs from Colorado, because they, like us, they were skiers and they skied in Colorado, and so they got their sagebrush from Colorado. But then we realized that we have our own sagebrush here in California, in Tahoe, and so we get this from Tahoe. And the first time that we went to pick it, Rob was like on his way up there, and he took the truck early in the morning, and he's like, well, where is it? And so I'm like, go higher, and he took this beautiful photograph, and it was a spring, beautiful spring day. There was still snow on the mountains, but the sky was blue, and there was these beautiful white clouds and everything, and this all this sagebrush. So we had that for the taking, and now we actually get this from a farmer up there, and he has a trumpet mushroom farm, but he happens to have sagebrush on his farm, so we get that from those guys. And the first time that I did the deal with him, I met him at a Starbucks off of 80, and we did the exchange, paid him, and I've got this big bag of sagebrush in the back of my car. And, of course it has this wonderful aroma, but it does also smell somewhat like pot. So on the way home from Tahoe, I'm coming down 80, and I'm coming down the hill, and I get a phone call from the youngest son, and we start to get into a discussion. And so I'm very focused on crafting my part of my side of the story. And so I'm not paying attention, and I'm having a hard time hearing on the Bluetooth, I guess. And so after this, discussion's been on for a little while, I look up in my rear view mirror, and there are the flashing lights behind me, and so I've been pulled over because it turns out I'm doing 90 miles an hour. And I'm going downhill, you know, that's what happens. And as I'm pulling over, I'm thinking to myself, oh, I wonder what the cop's going to think about the fact that I have all this sagebrush in the back, because it does, it smells like pot. He's probably thinking to himself, what's this old girl doing with all this weed? Anyway, so I rolled the window down, it was fine. He actually, I think he brought my my speed down to like 80 miles an hour. Maybe I was doing 95, I can't remember. Anyway, he brought it down to 80, and so it wasn't quite as bad. He was very polite, and all's well that ends well. But that's my sagebrush story. So 10 different botanicals. So after the vapor infusion, now we have grape spirits that are infused or macerated with 10 different botanicals. We let that rest for about 3 weeks before we then marry that with the neutral grain spirits, which in this case is corn. And corn sort of brings a sort of sweetness, if you like, to it. The grape spirits, in terms of mouthfeel, they bring this really nice, smooth, velvety texture to the gin. So if any of you have noticed that, that's partly due to the grape spirits as well as the grain. It is. It's sort of, it's fat. Yeah, it's really good. So that's our gin. Thank you so much for watching. I'm so sorry that we had some technical difficulties, but both of the live streams obviously will be posted, and you'll get to see both. And thank you for watching. I hope you all have a great weekend. Enjoy the weather. I think it's about to going to rain, isn't it, shortly. Don't forget to set the clocks back, and we'll see you next week. Thanks. Cheers. Bye.